Okay, we are live. My name is Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined tonight by some very special guests. Kathleen, is it Studer?
Yes.
Okay, Kathleen, how are you? And who's that with you?
This is the grandma. This is my mother, Karen.
Hello.
Okay, how are you?
Could be better, but as good as can be.
Glad I'm talking to you.
Appreciate that. So you guys are coming to us from New York.
Yes, we
Dutchess
are.
County.
Dutchess County.
Now, you say that like I know where that is, and I don't.
No.
Poughkeepsie, an hour and a half down from Albany, south of
Okay.
Albany.
Yes.
All righty.
Far away from you.
Too far.
How far are you from NYC?
About an
Hour
hour
and a half.
and 20, depending on how fast you drive or you take the train.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all the way from New York, what is going on in New York with CPS?
They're jerks.
Well, besides
Okay.
New York, let's see. I've had this case going on since 2020. First time got it dropped. Moved back in with the boyfriend. It started up. Then the court took over. Just a little quick preview. And then after that, everything hit the walls. We did everything in our power to get our child back. I did my outpatient. I did my inpatient. I have jumped through the hoops, like I've heard everyone say. And then after getting out of rehab, then my boyfriend gets laid dirty and my child gets put in foster care. We do everything we have to do. We get our child back. We are about to have we did our 3 months trial. We got our child back. And then knock, knock, knock. CPS at the door. I have failed for a Valium, which I used to be on that medication. However, that was the beginning of a new open CPS case. Mind you, I have 7 neglect orders, and I've gone through 6 attorneys, 1 paid. I have had the worst 3 years of my life. It's like never ending. I asked the CPS worker, is this ever going to end? And she said, probably not. And I've been on this last thing. I just wanted to tell you, I have had a violation. What do they call it? A stay away order for my son. I have not seen him in over 100 days. And I just got a letter in the mail today, which says nothing about the visitations. And they are unsupervised, because this is what the judge said in court, unsupervised, unlimited time. But now everyone says that it's not. And I'm confused and I don't know what to do, sir.
Well, have you gotten a copy of the transcript where the judge said it's unsupervised, unlimited?
I got what they sent in the mail and they said that's what you're getting.
I heard the judge say that in court, and on this order today, there's nothing about visits at all.
It just says about the trial. I ordered for a trial because I wrote up a motion. I said I want the order of protection dropped. I said I'm not settling for this. I'm not settling for that. But no one listens to me.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions. You know, when you say they won't give it to you, the visits, who's the they?
They, let's see, every attorney, the district attorney,
Baby's attorney.
the baby's attorney, my attorney, the ex's attorney, all collaborate and conversate and convert. And I,
Conver Burke.
oh, Connor Burke,
CPS.
yeah, the no names, Connor Burke, sorry. And I don't know what to do.
It's got it.
A temporary order of protection. I didn't do anything. I don't know why it's still on me. They said, this is their words, there was nothing else they could do. So they removed me from the house instead of the child, which is fine. But why do I have a temporary order of protection? I've never neglected my son. I have 7 neglect charges. 7.
And there's nothing to do. They won't do anything.
I feel like
We've called from senators to governors, Mr. Davis, everybody, every day for 3 months.
You were the only person that has actually gave me any hope by watching your show. I feel like I've been in a death.
How can they do this? I want to know how they get away with it. 4th Amendment. They hang up on you. You call the supervisor. Why am I neglect?
No, don't even try to get a hold of the supervisor. She'll just hang up on you and just call you a piece of crap.
called Westchester County, where they are the head office, I believe, for us. Got nowhere with them either. So, can you advise us on what to do in this baby back? I mean,
Right now he's
Okay,
with the
well,
father.
hold on a second. You guys are gonna have to slow down and let me get in a word, okay?
I'm sorry.
Now, here's one of the first things you're gonna have to consider, and I tell this to people frequently. You're dealing with a governmental agency, and you're expecting them to be fair and honest. And that's the wrong thing to do. Now, I don't know what news station you work or you watch. CNN, Fox News, what's that new one, Newswire, or MSNBC. But how many times do you look at the news and see things that people call government corruption? Every day. Every day. Somewhere in the world, in the United States, there's somebody accusing someone of government corruption. It might be a politician who holds office. It might be, a police officer. It might be a judge. It could be anybody, right? And I'm not saying any way pros or cons, but looks like they're about to prosecute the last president, right? So, I mean, the whole notion of us accusing officials of some wrongdoing is not new, and it happens every day. So I don't know why you're surprised that CPS is corrupt. Well, I don't know.
I'm not surprised anymore.
Hold on a second. I had a long conversation with an attorney today, and he asked me a question, and it was a very interesting question. We got into a long discussion about this. This year is 37 years for me. Okay. And I think he's about a 15 year attorney. And he asked me something. He said, "What is the most important thing you learned at the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College?" And I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, probably the most important thing I ever learned, and it's still an ongoing learning process, is how to listen. Okay. So when I'm talking to you guys, I want you guys to listen. And it's called, there's two types of listening: active listening and passive listening. I want you guys to actively listen. So you guys are focusing on the wrong thing. You're focusing on the corruption. You can't get over it. They won't answer your call. Who the hell cares? They're not going to give you the kid back anyway. So why do you want to talk to them? Focus on winning the case. Now, how do you do that? Well, number one, you have an attorney that you work with in terms of strategy, implementation of the strategy, evidence, procedure. Okay, you focus on that. Now, I'm telling you about strategy. I haven't even told you about the law. Okay, the law is important, but it's not as important as you think, unfortunately. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to do. You have to come up with a strategy to get the child back. Don't waste your time on, well, she's not calling me back. She won't answer my call. So what is that going to do for you? You think the judge cares about that? I would bet $1 that he or she doesn't care about something like that. The social worker not calling you back. Yeah, it's America. Yeah, they work for you, but so what? Okay? They are making allegations against you that you have done something or failed to do something that puts your children at risk or danger. Now, either that's true or it's not true. And if it's not true, you need to bring forth evidence. You need to put witnesses on the witness stand. You need to subpoena documents into court to help prove that whatever they're saying against you is false. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You got to work with your attorney. I think I heard you say once or twice that you're doing something. Please don't do that. You might as well, the doctor just told you needed open heart surgery. You're not going to do it yourself, are you?
No.
You're not going to Google it and try to figure it out. You're not going to get into one of these Facebook groups where they tell you how to naturally heal yourself. You're gonna do what your doctor tells you to do. You know why? Because it's life and death. Well, guess what? This is life and death too. The life and death of your children. This is, are you going to raise your children, or is some strange foster parent or some relative who hates you going to raise your children? Now, I tell this, and I used to tell this to Miss G several years ago, but she gets it now. At first, she didn't get it. Do you want to be right, or do you want to win?
Win, of course, and right.
No, you can't have both.
I want to win.
See, this is what I'm talking about, listening carefully. I said, do you want to be right, or do you want to win? Now, that by definition, I'm giving you a choice between two things. So don't tell me you want both. You can't have both. In most cases, unfortunately,
I want to win.
Okay, Ben, the lawyer can tell you how to win. You don't know how to win. You don't know how to win. You know, just like you wouldn't know how to do open heart surgery. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You just weren't trained for that. Guess what? Not too long ago, my mechanic told me I needed a new transmission. Guess what I didn't do? I didn't run out to Pet Boys and buy the new transmission and the tools and the supplies and the book. You know, I didn't Google it. I didn't YouTube it. I didn't try to figure out how to do a new transmission. You know why? Because if I did that, it'll be years before I fix my car. You got, I'm a pretty smart guy. I know nothing about transmissions. And I can tell you right now, unless you went to law school and practiced as an attorney in a CPS courtroom, you don't know anything about winning these cases. You know, so many people feel that, hey, this is America. I should stand up for my rights. I should be able to represent myself. Yes, 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 rah, rah, rah. Well, guess what? If they had you in jail, you were in jail facing a murder charge that you know you didn't commit, I guarantee you wouldn't be trying to do the case yourself. You know why? Because you probably end up on death row. It's too important. But guess what? Your children are as important or more important than that. So what does that mean? Get the right attorney. Get the right attorney and follow his or her advice.
Okay, I had one paid attorney, and he told me he wants a stack of information this big, and go get it or don't step foot back in my office. So what I do, I went around, I got all the information for him. He did nothing.
Are you going to judge all attorneys in New York by that standard?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
But
you telling me that story is irrelevant to you getting your kid back.
It is.
Yeah.
I've had 7 or 8.
Go find an attorney. You know, interview them. You know,
How do you pay for it? I mean, we paid for one, and the public defenders, they're good, some of them, okay, but they're not going to be good. They're all out for the money. That's all.
But we were just about to end our case until a false positive came up on my end. So now it's me against this, and that's why I wanted to go to trial. And I do like my attorney now that I have, and I do go to him for advice. I do like him a lot.
Okay, good. Are you following his advice?
I am.
Sir, they did offer a settlement as opposed to a trial.
Okay.
Now, she doesn't want to take the settlement.
Okay,
so go for the trial.
Okay, I don't know anything about your case.
Okay.
Like a doctor who would perform an operation on you, I'd have to review your chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to review your court file. I'd have to look at the evidence. I'd have to think about it. You know, I haven't done anything about that. You've been on this show for about 14 minutes and 26 seconds. Other than what you've told me from a civilian point of view, I don't know anything about your case.
Correct.
So
it's a no-brainer.
So the if it was a no-brainer, you'd have the kid.
Yeah.
I know, sir. I know.
Okay. So let's not say that, because it's not true.
Okay.
You know, I went to the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College. Okay.
Mhm.
And it was almost a month long in Wyoming on a ranch. Okay. Can you imagine spending every day learning about persuading people in a courtroom? One of the things Jerry told us all is never look at a case through your own glasses. Never. And your mom just said something interesting. It's a no-brainer. It may be a no-brainer through her eyes. It ain't a no-brainer through the judge's eyes. It ain't a no-brainer through the social worker's eyes. So you got to learn to look at the case through those people's eyes. Now, you may not agree with them, and that's okay. But remember, you're trying to win a case. So you got to figure out what your enemy is thinking and prove otherwise. You know, so many people want to be right, want to be right, want to be right. You know, these are their kids. Listen,
Yeah.
I don't blame people for that. But if you want to win in court anyway, that's a whole different story. Justice doesn't equal being right. And if you have you seen my YouTube channel?
Mm-hmm.
You watch everything I do.
Okay, so on YouTube, on my channel, search "What is Justice?"
Okay.
And there's a 7-minute plus video where I'm standing in front of a whiteboard. I'm wearing a suit and tie, and I'm actually talking to 2 clients.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, a client videotaped that lecture or explanation I was giving, and she gave it to me and I put it on YouTube. I was actually talking to 2 clients in my conference room. Justice isn't what you think it is. So if you believe what I'm saying, you'll get somebody and you'll follow your attorney. You like your attorney. You'll follow his or her advice. That's what you'll do.
That's what I've been doing. Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, after the 6 that I've had, this one I've been following, and I realize what I have to do.
But you're starting
And
all over again.
It's not starting all over again. It's an ongoing process that is just if you're wrong, you're even if you're right, you're wrong, and you have to comply.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to. It's like you said in one of your other videos, it's you're innocent, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. I understand that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's, in my humble opinion, that's how this system is set up.
Yes.
Okay. Now we could talk all night about how that's unfair and violates the Constitution.
No, but that's
blah,
not
blah,
gonna
blah, blah,
get
blah. And I would agree with you, but you don't have your kids, so now what?
right.
Now what are you going to do?
Is it okay for him?
Well, I have my not supervised. I have unsupervised visits. I haven't seen him in 100 days, and I don't think the judge liked that. But now I have unsupervised visits starting Saturday for 1 to 3 hours, and then my lawyer said that's a start. We'll go from there.
Well, that's actually a good start because at least in California, and maybe even under the federal regulations, if they give you unsupervised visits, that means by definition you're not a danger to the child.
Right. Why is there a stay away order still, sir?
That I don't know. I haven't looked at your file.
I know why. I guess my lawyer said that's the only thing that they could do. That's the only thing they could put on me, do to me, because I failed for a drug test, meaning it was a false positive, but they don't believe that, so that's why I want to go to trial. But
well, there's ways to prove
is it worth it
to disprove a false positive. I don't know if you and your lawyer have been talking about that. I don't know if the judge is going to even believe it.
I retook one. I asked for another one and retook one.
And what did it come back?
It came back for alcohol, which I don't drink, and Xanax.
And none of your other
but she didn't say any of that in court, and it didn't have my prescriptions in it that I usually take. So my one counselor actually at Lexington, this was last year, knew it wasn't mine. So he actually, what do you call it? What's that word? Took accountability for that, which DCFS does not. They don't even tell you if you pass your drug test or not, which I know if I'm going to pass it or not. You know what I mean? So I don't need that comfort. But I'm just saying, they're right there in your face to tell you that you didn't pass. You know what I mean? But it's just like a never-ending story.
and the child gets traumatized.
He's 2 years old.
How can they put a I stood up in front of the judge.
How come your child is with a strange foster parent and not with a relative?
He's with his father.
He's with his father right now, which
is
okay.
His father's not right in the head.
Yeah.
I'm telling you this because he has mental problems and they know it. His house is not stable to have kids. He has a birth daughter. He is working with kids.
How long has the child been with him?
3 months.
Has anything
Since
happened?
they kicked me out of the house on January 5th this year.
Has anything happened to the child while the child was with the father?
I'm sorry, what was that, sir?
Has anything happened to the child in the last 3 months?
I don't know because I just had contact today with the father for the first time.
Okay. Are you and the father married or divorced? Or...
No, we never were married.
Okay.
No, but I'm going to, in your last episode, I saw get a copy of the physical papers from his doctor. I also heard you say something about get what was it? The pediatrician. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And then something else. I forgot what it was. I can't.
Do you, Mr. Davis, may I ask you a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
I don't, probably a dumb one, but her lawyer.
There's no dumb question.
I know, you're right. My brother's a lawyer, to tell you too. Okay,
but he's not.
I'm not too friendly with him. But her lawyer, one of them, before one of them's out, then one of them takes her place. One of them gives her a settlement. She's like, I don't want to take the settlement. I want to go to trial. Okay. Now, can I ask you? Should she go to trial?
What is the difference? What is a trial? I'm not understanding.
You subpoena people?
I know you have probably an episode about a trial.
Actually, I don't think I do.
We were looking for it and we couldn't find one.
Maybe I should do an episode or a video on that because it's like, I just assume people know that, but you're not the first person to ask me that question.
No.
And I think, we lawyers who are in court every day, we just think everybody knows what's black, what's white. We just think that. Okay, let me try to do this. Let me try to explain what a trial is.
Okay.
Especially in a CPS context.
Wait, before you say it, do they want to do trials, judges?
I don't think so.
Okay.
What?
I don't think so, he said.
I thought he said they think so.
No.
I think most judges like to resolve cases to settle things.
That's what I figured.
All right. So here's a trial. When the county brings a case against you, it's the county versus you, which is important for me to say. It's not you versus the dad. This isn't family law divorce court. It's only the county versus you. Okay? And they are bringing allegations against you, and you're saying, wait a minute, those allegations are false. So under the Constitution in your state and in the United States, you are entitled to have a trial, which means you get to test their evidence. They'll come forward with evidence in the form of witnesses, documents, who will testify and show that their allegations against you are true.
Excuse me, they'll come up with the people?
Mm-hmm. They do, and we do.
Well, you're jumping ahead. You're not listening actively.
Okay. Let's wait. We'll listen. Okay.
Don't forget, it's being taped, and it'll be on the internet under these 8 social media sites forever.
Okay.
So you can always go back. So you don't have to even take notes.
Okay.
Okay. You're great.
So once the social worker puts on evidence, then the minor's attorney usually puts on evidence, and then each of the parents' attorneys get to put on evidence. And that's where you and your attorney have the right and the opportunity to shine by putting on evidence to show that the social worker is not telling the truth, or the social worker is making stuff up, or the social worker is making an assumption that isn't true, right? And then, the rules of procedure and evidence apply, which, would take me days to explain. And then the judge will make a decision. That's what a trial is.
Okay. As stuff that recordings and
text messages.
And text messages are admissible in court.
Well, it depends. I don't know the rules of evidence in your state.
Oh no. Okay.
But if it's a document created outside the courtroom, there are special rules that you have to satisfy in order for that document to be admitted into evidence. Now, the rules, if it was in California, the evidence code is about this thick, and it depends on what kind of document it is, right? And by document, I mean piece of paper, picture, video, recording. Those are all considered documents in California, at least. So that you have to make sure that the document is admissible. I have a case right now where I speak to a legal team every morning at 7:00, and we go about 7 to 8:15. Today we had a long conversation about how to get certain videos admitted into evidence. Now you would think this is an easy topic. It's not. It's not. And on this conversation, there are 3 lawyers, including myself. 3 experienced lawyers. So that's the type of thing where I say get a plan and implement it with your attorney, because you might show up with a very important piece of evidence and then it's ruled inadmissible, and then what? Then where are you? You're going to lose your case. So, you got to make sure that your evidence is admissible. Okay. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I've told this many times over the years. One Saturday morning, I used to work every Saturday at my office. A guy comes in without an appointment, and he says to me, "Hey, Mr. Davis, I need you to get me custody of my daughter." Okay. I said, "Okay, we'll have to file paperwork and we'll have to go to court." He says, "Oh, but I just went to court." I said, "You've already been to court?" He said, "Yeah, I went to court yesterday." I said, "Oh." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I lost." He said the judge gave me 1 day a week for 8 hours. Not even overnight, not more than 1 day, 1 day a week. And he says to me, the judge must have been corrupt. I hear that all the time. And I said, "Well, why do you think that?" And he held up a stack of papers and he said, "The judge wouldn't look at my documents." And I said, "Well, what documents do you have?" He says, "I have school records and I have medical records regarding a couple ER visits." And I said, "Did you just show up in court with those documents?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I hate to tell you this, but the judge did the right thing. If that's how you showed up in court with those documents, the judge isn't supposed to look at them. They're hearsay." And then he said, "Well, when does the judge get to look at real school records and real medical records?" I said, "When you comply with the California rules of evidence."
Okay.
He said, "Can you explain that to me?" I said, "No, I can't. We don't have, 2 or 3 weeks for me to sit here and explain that to you." Right? It'd be like me or like your mechanic trying to explain to you the intricate parts of a transmission and how they work together. I don't know anything about that. And if he explained it to me, I still wouldn't know. Right? All I know about cars, you get in, you turn the key, and you start driving. You press on the gas. That's it. But there's a lot of stuff going on under the hood. Same thing for evidence. Okay. So then I told him, I said, so there's your whole corruption thing is, out the window. I said, you didn't have the right evidence and you didn't know how to get your evidence in. There's a class that's going to be given by I think it's the LA County Bar. And it's about how to get in evidence and how to keep out evidence in a family law case. It just happened or it's going to happen in a couple of weeks. What does that have to do with justice?
Nothing.
Getting in evidence and keeping out evidence. But that's how courts are. That's how they operate. That's how they were meant to operate. So you got to get the right kind of evidence, get it admitted, and then prove your case.
Okay.
But what if
Problem
your lawyer will not do that? He'll like, I want to do that. I want to go for the settlement.
They can't
We
do
tell
that.
them what we want to do, right?
Well, your lawyer is supposed to do what you want. Now,
Or your best interest.
he can advise you to do a settlement.
Yeah.
And
He's
Grandma,
gotta tell you.
I want to tell you this. Okay.
Alright. I know.
I want to tell you another story.
Okay.
Lawyers tell stories.
I know. I got a brother.
About 10 years ago, I had a lump in my neck right here.
Oh my God. Vincent,
Yep.
I do too. And they gave me it. Yep.
Hold on. I go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor says, Mr. Davis, we got to take out your thyroid.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. And I was going to do it. I had planned to do it. At this time, my wife is still alive. And she says something to me that, I didn't even consider. She said, you should probably have a second opinion. Okay. Sounds like a good idea. Now, I don't know if you know this, how important your thyroid is.
Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you feel like shit.
A lot of people don't know what the thyroid does.
Oh, we do.
Everything.
Yeah. So anyway, I go to the first specialist, and he has my medical records, and he basically tells me, whoever told you you needed to have your thyroid taken out is a quack.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Dude.
Now, here's something very important. The
Mhm.
doctor that told me this to take it out was a very experienced doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 20 years, 25 years.
I believe it. Yeah.
Okay. So he tells me, don't do it. And he's kind of joking about it. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a little bit more serious. He doesn't run any tests, nothing. He says, don't do it. So I came back home and I started thinking, I don't know if that was really a thorough examination.
Mm-hmm.
I go to a second opinion, another specialist in my area at the time. And he looks and he goes, I looked at all your records and I don't think you need to have that operation. But I think you should go and have some tests done. I said, tests? What are you talking about? He said biopsy, ultrasound, these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So he sends me to another doctor. I go to this doctor and he does ultrasound. He does a fine needle biopsy. And he does, I think they called it aspiration. Basically, I had fluid assist on the thyroid, and he sucked it out.
Fluid. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, afterwards, I asked the guy doing the test. I said, "Hey, do you think I should have the thyroidectomy taken out?" He says, "No." He says, "I've done some preliminary things. Unless the tests come back opposite of what I think they're going to come back, you should never have your thyroid taken out." I said, "Okay." So the moral of this story is, if the first doctor is telling you something, that's drastic, like give up your kid for 6 months, you might want to take a second opinion about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this happened maybe a decade ago, more than a decade ago for me.
Mm-hmm.
I spent probably $1,500 getting those two opinions and getting the test done. Probably much more these days. But think about this. If I don't do that, I end up having an operation that's going to alter my life.
They hit that pain up there.
Alter it like I'm going to lose my kids forever. That kind of alteration. You get it?
Mm-hmm. So
to get a second opinion, that was the cheapest thing I could have ever done. The cheapest thing I ever could have done. So, and I don't know if you know this, but you guys are telling me like some issues about things about the thyroid. You know one of the most dangerous things that could happen during a thyroidectomy?
Yeah.
Is that they could accidentally
Hit that thing.
remove your parathyroid, which is something completely different.
Parathyroid?
Yeah. And they could accidentally, and this happens in apparently these operations, cut your vocal cords.
That's nice to know.
That's nice.
So
Oh.
I am going to have a second opinion.
So, these kind of operations, it's not something you want to take lightly.
Exactly.
Just like before you make a decision that's going to affect whether you get your kids back, you might want a second opinion.
Correct.
Second opinion means
From who, though?
another lawyer.
Lawyer.
You take your documents, you give them to the lawyer, and he or she reviews them probably at the meeting, right? Or before the meeting. Are you going to have to pay a couple of dollars? Yeah, you probably are.
We
But
can't.
this is such an important thing. We're talking about your kids.
No.
You might want to do it.
I'm going to try my best to get him.
You might want to do it. Now, here's the thing, Miss Kathleen Studer.
Yes.
What if an attorney that you hire tells you after reviewing your file, I think you should take that deal? What if that happens?
Well, that is kind of what is happening. So,
and by the way, I'm not telling you to take the deal or not take the deal. I don't know anything about your case. I don't know nothing about your case.
I know.
But you have to respect the second or third opinion of a professional.
Yeah, absolutely. I would. I just wanted the order of protection dropped it because I don't know why it's on.
Well, talk to your attorney about it. Talk to your attorney.
I will. He told me.
They don't do anything, Vince. I'm sorry. They hang up. Call me later. I have too many cases. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, that's why he's telling you to get another opinion.
Kathleen, I love your mother.
But
please
tell her
don't
to
listen
shut
to
up.
her.
What
Please listen to the professionals. It
I
reminds
am.
me of my friend. He had to have open heart surgery. First thing he does is he goes home and he asks his wife, "Hey, honey, should I have that open heart surgery?" She's a school teacher. She's not a cardiologist.
I know. But I believe I got sick to death from
But we all do that, don't we? We all do that.
It's not.
Yes,
they hurt people. They do. They hurt.
Hey, you know what? I'm sorry, but I have to end this right now.
I know.
We have another guest
Did I make
tonight.
you do that?
Another guest, Candy from the great state of Pennsylvania. So listen, you two young ladies, I want to thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your
Mr.
story. And, keep in touch with us. I see Miss G's up there on the screen. Call us or call me or call Miss G anytime.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you very much.
All righty.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good evening, Miss G. How are you? Miss G's unmuted. I don't think she knows she's muted.
I am good, thank you.
Okay, good. We're about to bring on our next guest from Pennsylvania, Miss Candy. I hope I'm saying this. Wetzel.
Yeah, Wetzel.
Hello. Wetzel, how are you?
I'm okay.
Good. So you're from Pennsylvania, right?
I am, yes.
What county are you from?
Columbia County.
Okay, so that's like the last guest. I don't know where that is.
Yeah.
Tell me where that is.
Have you heard of Bloomsburg University?
No, I haven't.
Okay. It's a university town, so.
Okay.
It's like central PA.
There used to be someone that worked with us that was from Pennsylvania originally, and I'm trying to think of what town she was from. I can't think of the name of the town, but apparently she was from Pennsylvania, grew up in Pennsylvania, and now is living out here and working out here. But I don't think she misses the winters.
Yeah, I hate the winters. Definitely hate the winters.
So what's going on in PA that we need to know about CPS?
Well, so my situation's a little different than most, as in I'm the one that has the child. I'm not the bio mom. What happened is I have an addict friend, and they took this child from the hospital when she was literally dying. Her doctor was on the phone with ICU transport when Children, Youth, and security guards came in and took her son. We had already had an arrangement that I would be his guardian. We knew this was going to happen. It was her 5th child. They didn't do their job. They took him. They put him in foster care, and it took me 3 days to get him out because I threatened media. I said, if you don't give this child back to me, not mom, obviously, um, I'm going to get anyone involved that I can. So they said, yeah, we'll give you the child. I was given nothing. Like, they dropped him in me with me and said, you want him? We're not helping you at all. Nothing. Okay, I don't want your money. I don't want anything like that. But what they did is they didn't do anything. I recently found out, I mean, he's 2.5. Mom, it's very sporadic in and out of his life. She's still in active addiction. But what they did is they didn't put him in the system. They didn't do an actual court order. He's special needs, and I have all kinds of issues getting help for him because they didn't do their job.
Okay.
I guess I recently found out I don't even have an actual court order. I thought I had one from a shelter care hearing. But I recently had someone inquire and get it's an agency here who's actually helping me with housing. And she inquired to get the order, and they sent her my file. And the two paperworks that I have are in my file. But I shouldn't have them. They weren't given to me. They were given to BioMom at a hearing that me nor foster mom were allowed to be in.
And how has that hurt the child?
Well, because I can't get the legal documents for him. We lost our housing because I went through cancer treatments and had zero support for the child and used up all my savings. And I couldn't pay the rent. So we ended up homeless. And I'm still having problems getting the help that I need for him. Thankfully, the hospital system around here was pretty good. Like, I had an attorney at one point because the county that took him, it's a dual county. It's Columbia-Montour County, okay? So there's two judges for both counties. The same two judges for both counties. Visiting bureaus, all that kind of stuff is all together. Children Youth is separate, though. It's not. So Montour County gave me the child, and then for 5 months, the county over Columbia tried to take him from me. When I brought up the court order, not having one and stuff, to the attorney that I had, he said, well, as soon as we put this in, as evidence, it's in the court system. It is valid. That's not the case. I found out. I explained to him what had happened, and basically, because I had gotten every the agencies that oversee them, I can't think of the name right now, involved that I could, and basically every agency that I tried to get involved said, nope, they did everything right, whatever. We're not listening to you. So I don't know.
Tell me what question you have that's burning that you want to ask me.
I don't even know.
Well,
okay. I do have one question. Okay, so it's not CPS that takes children; it's judges. Okay, and I've tried to do what I could through the judicial system, because ultimately this judge is the one that said, yes, take this child. Okay, give this child to someone he never met. He never even met me. I was never even in the hearing. Judicially, how can that happen?
Oh, the judge has, especially in California, the judge has ultimate power over the child.
Well, yes. Why would a judge give someone they've never met, a child, a newborn?
See, I don't know.
Right.
The problem is, hold on, it's just like the last guest. You're asking me a question about something I've never seen the file about. There may be evidence about some things that you and I both don't know about, and we'll never know about because it's a confidential proceeding. They'll never share that information.
Absolutely, and I get that, but so I'm not asking that. What I'm saying is, I can tell you, I never met the judge. Whatever information he had about me, he never spoke to me. Like, I was not a part of the hearing. I
Okay,
just
but
don't
hold on.
understand.
Okay, here's the thing.
Mhm.
The issue is much simpler than you believe.
I'm making it too. Okay.
No. You're using common sense.
Okay.
Common sense from your perspective.
Mhm.
You're looking at the case through your glasses. What did I just tell the other people? Don't do that.
Mhm.
Look at the case through the judge's eyes. Now, here's the problem. You don't
Yeah,
know
I
what the
have.
judge you
I
don't know what
have.
the judge you don't know what the judge is looking at. You don't
Mhm.
know what evidence he or she has been given.
But well, what evidence would he have been given? I can't understand why a judge would give a child to someone without hearing him, without
Candy,
even meeting me. Not anything to do with taking the child from the parent. That's not what I'm asking. I don't know
I
what
don't
evidence. I do know what evidence, but I understand why the child was taken from the parent. I get that. That's not my question at all. There's nothing with evidence as to why a judge would give a child to someone that they don't know, that they've never met, that wasn't a party to a hearing. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I understood you the very first time you said it. But what I don't think is happening here is that you're not seeing what I'm saying. You see, there's two sides to a coin. You saw one side. You don't see the other side. You're saying to yourself, what evidence could he have to do that? Or she have to do that? Well, I don't know. I just don't know. It could be many, 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 many things. Okay? It could be just the social worker's opinion. It could be 10 letters from people that know you. You know, you don't know what the judge has or doesn't have. So you're trying to figure out something from common sense based upon information that you have. And you know what? I'm glad you asked that question because this happens a lot with me and people, okay, including Miss G. Miss G asked me the question that you asked me. The problem is she doesn't have the information that I have. And she's just assuming, just like you, well, there can be no information. But that's a fallacy. That's a false reality. Because there can be information that you don't have that the judge used to make a decision. You just
Mhm.
don't know what it is,
I'm
and
sorry, you mentioned my name and I'm not understanding why.
okay, and you will
Mm,
never know what the judge said or what the
Okay.
judge saw. What the
So,
judge saw. If you had the legal file and you looked in the legal file and then you don't understand, okay, I get it. But you're trying to understand something and you've never seen the legal file.
well, no, I'm trying to understand judicially how a judge gives the child to someone that they don't know from foster care and then doesn't follow up with the hearings that they should, with the court order from the shelter hearing saying that children use still has custody of him. Um,
Do you know when the judge has hearing? First of all, let's go back.
mhm.
The judge never meets a person that he places a child with. Never. So when you say how could that possibly be? It never happens. That's the way the law is written. Now you might think that's a bad law and you might change the law, but it's not the law right now today.
Okay.
If I were a judge in CPS court in LA County and they took a kid from you, all right?
Mhm.
I can place that child in foster care.
Okay.
Which
Yes.
foster parent? I don't know. Never met him. I
No,
could
no,
place
no.
the child with a family friend. Who? I don't know. Never met him. I could place the child with a relative. Who? I don't know. Never met them.
Mm.
So no judge ever meets the person that he or she places the child with. Never.
In the state of Pennsylvania, I'm actually supposed that if you're placing a child, you're supposed to be part of the hearing. You
Okay.
actually are supposed to be a part of that. That is how
No.
it is in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Here's how it is in
Not a
California.
foster care, but like
Here's
if
how it here's how it is in California.
mhm.
You can be a part of the hearing. Doesn't mean you have to be. Okay.
I completely get that.
Okay. I would bet $1 that that's what the law says in Pennsylvania.
I was not given the option to attend the hearing. I was not given the option.
Well, that's
I
a
was not
whole nother
allowed.
thing. That's a whole nother thing.
Right.
The foster parent, excuse me, the social worker may have told the judge, I gave her notice and she didn't show up.
I was there. I was outside. I was sitting right there with foster mom. I was there. I was not, me nor foster mom was allowed. Nobody was allowed in the hearing. We were not allowed.
Do you know
We
why?
were there.
Do you know why?
I don't. I have theories.
Okay, so in California, if anybody objects to you being present, the judge has the discretion not to allow you in. Now, here's what happened. Here's what happens. This happened a few weeks ago, as a matter of fact, a couple months ago, actually. I was in a courtroom in a county, all right, in San Bernardino County. The judge called the case, and all of the attorneys were there on the counsel table. Somebody said, blah, blah, blah is outside the hallway. Judge says, does anybody have an objection to so-and-so coming into the courtroom? One of the attorneys, not all, there was like 5 attorneys. One of the attorneys says, I object because blah, blah, blah. Judge tells the bailiff, don't bring in that person. It was legal.
Okay.
You think it shouldn't be, but it was legal.
Okay.
So that's the point I'm making. Sometimes there are things in the law, things in evidence, things in procedure that don't make sense to you just looking at it from the outside like a common sense person. But the law is not common sense.
Yeah, I mean, I contacted your show because I actually I don't know, I thought it'd be different than what it is. But I mean, I've in 2.5 years I've gotten somewhere, and my shit is not right. The judge didn't do things right, and things are about to be looked at. So I know I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I know what I'm saying. I'm
Have you gotten
aware
an
of court
attorney?
procedures. I don't understand. You say someone could have objected to me being there, but the point of the child being removed and then giving to somebody else, the orders in Pennsylvania, things are very specific. Child needs would be addressed. There's so many things that should have been put into this shelter care hearing order that wasn't either. And I know you don't know the case and everything else, and that was just a very short, brief thing I gave you. But this child was never even placed into the foster care system because the minute he was removed, I was on the phone to something called Childline in the state of Pennsylvania, reporting him being removed the way he was, because they didn't even do an investigation. If they had, they would have known about me from the door, and they could have placed him in kinship with me rather than foster care. That's not what they did, though. They didn't even put the child into the system. When I called and spoke with the supervisor that called me back, actually, when I called Childline, that's what I was told from someone who could see in the system. They weren't even put in he was not even put in the juveniles. He wasn't even put in the system at all when he was taken.
Somebody told you that?
A supervisor from Childline, the Department of Human Services, who oversees the county children youth offices.
You believe her?
I do believe her, because the person that got my file doesn't have the 2 papers that I have. They're not even in my file.
Well, I can tell you just from my 37 years of experience as a lawyer that that supervisor either gave you information that was incorrect purposefully or by accident. And here's the reason why. If this kid isn't in the system, that county is not making any federal money. You think they're going to miss out on tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
I do, if they give it to a doctor and his wife who are doing the residency and aren't even permanent residents of Pennsylvania, which is who the foster parents were. Yeah, I do believe a judge would do that, and a county would do that, because I think it's happening.
Okay, then you know what you need to do then. You need to get a lawyer. you need to file something in that CPS court, and you need to file a federal lawsuit.
That's kind of where I'm at, is filing a federal lawsuit. I
But
wanted
guess
to
what?
come on.
But there's something called Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. I believe it's number 10. You can be sanctioned for bringing a frivolous lawsuit.
Hmm.
So you and your lawyer better investigate this and make sure that you guys are saying the right thing. Because if you go in there and some federal judge, and they don't usually play around, and you say something that's ends up not being correct, there may be sanctions against you.
I absolutely believe that. Like, I truly believed in our judicial system at one point in my life. I truly did. I absolutely feel like I stumbled upon something happening in this small Pennsylvania county that shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, and you might be absolutely 100% correct. But get a lawyer and pursue that federal civil rights case.
I will definitely. I'm looking into getting help with a lawyer right now. So
Good. Ms. G, did you have any questions for Candy?
I have something to share with Candy. You responded, you were telling Davis that you don't understand why judges do that. And he as an attorney said that a judge doesn't have to necessarily meet you
Mhm.
to take your child from you. Well, anyways, I have a different opinion. My opinion is the following. Judges always take the recommendation of the social workers, whether they know you or not. You could be mother of the year for a gazillion years. You could have the angel of God next to you, and you're still going to be deemed unfit. If the judges don't have enough children per year, they're not going to get the federal funding from the federal government. Therefore, the county and the state will bankrupt. So they depend on the numbers of children they get per month, just like cops depend on the number of tickets they give out per month. So they use children as merchandise that sells.
I
And that's
agree.
that. Because a judge that sits on a fucking bench, not making the correct order and taking a bunch of bullshit recommendation from a little hyenas, 20-year-olds who just barely graduated, okay,
Mhm.
that have absolutely no fucking idea of a life or motherhood, period, then
Yeah.
guess what? Those are not deemed to be called judges.
I agree.
That's the way
I
I look.
agree.
I agree too. So
I absolutely agree. Um, I I think it's ridiculous.
exactly ridiculous. And to me, what is the purpose of a judge? Why are they sitting there? Why are
Yeah.
they sitting on a bench? Judge,
Yes.
what is the meaning of judge? Judging fairly, right?
Yes.
Judging
Yeah.
accurately, correct?
Yeah.
What is
Yes.
that about? How are they going to judge accurately when they're taking the recommendation of an idiot? Right? It's
Correct.
not like one idiot, is five idiots. You're talking about the children minor counsel. You're talking about the mother's attorney. You're talking about the father's attorney. And you're talking about the county attorney. So they're all stupid. All of them are stupid. And the judge is stupid because what is the definition of stupid? Knowing the truth, hearing the truth, but you still believe a fucking lie. Bottom line, that's the definition of stupid. It doesn't matter what credentials he or she has.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. Common sense doesn't exist. Therefore, stupidity, right, exists.
Yeah.
That is the definition of stupid.
It
So
does.
they make the big bucks. They make the big money. Social worker, what salary went from $30,000 a year to $197,000 a year, from which most of it is incentives from the bonuses they get per
Mhm.
child. So social workers now don't drive a Honda. They drive Lexuses, Mercedes, and Teslas.
Yes.
So therefore, give me a damn break.
Mhm.
That anybody can say, hey, you know, the judge doesn't need to meet you. Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Nobody does any checks and balances. Nobody does shit. Nothing.
Yeah.
And the mothers are being persecuted. Grandparents
Yeah.
are being persecuted. Siblings are being persecuted. What the fuck? That's all I have to say. Thank you for hearing me, Candy. I'm done.
You're welcome.
Hey, Candy, I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing with us. keep us posted about what happened with your case. You could have discovered some type of corruption, and we would definitely like to hear about it.
I do believe that. I real quick, I do have paperwork from the county children, or I'm sorry, the state, children and welfare, whatever they're called, the oversight state, because I've complained to them several times, and every time I complain, I get more paperwork and I get more letters that have fallacies in them. The last letter I got literally said that the judge in the hearing told me I could go separately and file for custody. I was never in a hearing. So I don't know.
Well, let's see what happens, and hopefully you'll be able to uncover the fraud if there is something going wrong there in Pennsylvania in your small county.
I hope so, because I'm only 2 counties over from the Cash for Kids scandal that happened. So
Oh,
a few
really?
years back. Yeah, really. Yes, two counties over from that is where I'm at. So the likelihood of it having happened, it really is good.
Yeah. Okay. Miss Candy, thank you again for joining us from Pennsylvania. Keep us posted. And if you ever have any questions, give me a call or give Miss G a call, okay?
I will.
Oops. I pressed the button there too fast.
All right.
So keep us posted, okay?
I will. Thank you.
And thank you again for coming on. Good night. Okay. Well, Miss G, that brings us to the end of the show. Any last comments you want to make before we go?
No, thank you. I said what I had to say.
Alrighty. Okay, folks. Well, it's Wednesday night. Tomorrow we'll see you at 7 p.m. on our show with hopefully new guests as well. And we'll be talking about The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. Good night, everyone.